Welcome to this week's Tab Media Special Report. I'm your host, Jennifer Rash, and we have Dr. O'Shea Lowery in the studio with us this week. Welcome, Shay.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you.
All right. Well, we are talking about Entrusted Hope Ministries, and if you are part of a church, you need to know about Entrusted Hope Ministries. So we're going to break that down for you. Shay, thanks again for stopping by and sharing with us, but give us a quick hit on Entrusted Hope Ministries, and then we'll develop it out and flesh it out and learn more about it.
Sure. Entrusted Hope Ministries, we desire to teach, equip, and encourage women with the gospel message of Jesus Christ, and even children. Through speaking events, and really my heart, Jennifer, is to develop resources that have biblical principles and that will always have biblical principles. Because as we see today, so many people are backing away from that, and especially in the children's area of movies and children's books and cartoons even, they are putting things in that go against biblical principles. So, basically Entrusted Hope is we want to equip and train women in the area of women's ministry, and just with the gospel of Jesus Christ to encourage them to press on in what God has called them to do.
Oh my goodness! Well, I knew about the women's side, but I didn't know about the children's aspect, and you'll be excited to know that here at Tab Media Group,
I saw
we have launched a new kids edition.
Yes, I was so excited to see that. Congratulations!
So Tab Media Group produces the Alabama Baptist newspaper, the Baptist paper, and now the new kids edition of the Baptist paper.
That's wonderful.
So we're really excited about all of that. So all that you're doing, equipping and resourcing, what does that mean exactly?
Well, my heart is women's ministry and through the local church. That's one of the things we are doing in the year 2026 is we have 2 training events coming up at First Baptist Hamilton, North Alabama, and Colbert Heights First Baptist. And it's for women's directors or women's committees. And we just want to train and equip in that area. I received an opportunity from Blue Mountain Christian University to teach the first ever women's course. And it's for women in ministry. If they're a children's director, pastor's wife, whatever, through the local church, even outside the local church, if you're with a nonprofit or a parachurch ministry. And I fell in love with it. I mean, I brought in several Lifeway trainers, Kelly King. You remember Dr. Kelly King, Chris Adams, different, and even Dawn Stevens from Birmingham.
Oh, yay, we love Dawn. Shout out to Dawn.
Adriana Anderson, all these Lifeway trainers said, hey, we want to help. This is the first ever women's ministry, our first ever women's course. So they all got on board, and even other, I know I'm leaving out people that came and, gave of their time. But I just thought, you know what, I want to do this. Maybe some churches are not able to go to a Lifeway training, which they are wonderful. So let's bring it to them. And so that's one of the ways we equip and train, give them ideas of how to carry out an effective women's ministry or how to start one, from scratch. Right. Another area of Entrusted Hope that I am most passionate about is single moms ministry. And, I get calls yearly from churches. I just got a call, 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 churches reached out, one from Tennessee, one from Huntsville, Alabama. They had heard about Strong and Courageous Ministry. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of Strong and Courageous Ministry. But they reached out, hey, how can we start a single mom's ministry? I'm a single mom. And it was really large churches in these areas. And we're getting calls from small churches, large churches. How do we start a single mom's ministry? And so when I was 24, it was April the 27th, and I woke up a married woman. My husband went to work. We had 2 children, ages 2.5, 3.5. And he went to work that morning and was electrocuted and killed instantly. And I say this, often I awoke a married woman. I would go to bed that night a single mom. And today I'm 58 and I've never remarried. So God allowed me to live out the life of a single mom. Later on in life, I went to seminary And when Entrusted Hope Ministries, the call to really entrust to others what God had entrusted to me, well, one of those things was a time of suffering. And, we want to entrust the gospel, but I also want to share with people, this is what he did, through a time of suffering. Jennifer, when he was in the hospital, I was rushed to the hospital, 24 years old. And one of the things I kept saying to the doctor is, will you just let me see my husband? I looked up, my babies were walking in the room and all these people. And, after they calmed me down, after a time, they allowed me to have that time with just my husband. And then I walked into this tiny little restroom in that hospital, and I looked into the mirror and I said out loud, God, what am I going to do? I was a stay-at-home mom with no college education, and I had no idea what the next step would be. Well, God knew that 30-something years later, he would have me at First Baptist Dallas, where we started. They allowed me to start, through Entrusted Hope Ministries, the outreach of Strong and Courageous. And that was a ministry to single moms. It started as a Sunday school class. And I remember going to one of the pastors, and I said, God has really placed in my heart to develop this ministry that we can go and train churches and help churches to know how to better minister to single moms. Well, First Dallas allowed me to start it there, and today it is a church-wide ministry. It is still going strong, even though I'm not there anymore. So I think it's like going on 7 or 8 years. Fantastic. It started out, again, as a Sunday school class, and now it's a church-wide ministry. And so that's one of the things we get to do, and I'm very passionate. These single moms will call and say, you know what, God is stirring my heart. I want to reach other single moms. And then I get calls, hey, we're doing your Bible study. I wrote a 7-week Bible study it's entitled My Life as a Single Mom. And so when I hear that, Jennifer, I go back to that day when I looked in the mirror. And I think there are so many women today looking into a mirror of some type. Right. What am I going to do? Whether it's a spouse has walked out, or a prodigal child, or just a hard trial. And, we want to encourage through Entrusted Hope that no matter what you're going through, God will bring you through that. So that was one of the things that God entrusted to me, that today I get to help other people, understand how to better, especially churches, how to better minister to single moms.
Yes, that has to be a community out there that's really not getting the support and the ministering that's needed. So
it's one of the biggest mission fields today, and it is growing. And so, we do have a lot of I have single moms that will say to me, my church, I walk in and there's not really a lot for single moms. And so it is a great opportunity to just learn how to better minister. You don't have to have a ministry per se, but if you do, it's great to minister to single moms.
And I'm guessing it's a case where if you've not walked in those shoes, you can't truly fully understand it. You can sympathize, you can be close to, you can see some of the needs, but you probably can't truly really
understand.
Grasp it.
Right.
So this kind of ministry gives you that input that would help resource the church leaders to be more sensitive and more aware, and maybe even just be observant. You know, who is in our community that's maybe they're not coming to church because they don't know how to even start or get to the door, and they don't know what to do, and it's too hard with the kids and all the things. So
I've had people reach out, just like what you're saying. I remember a counselor was asked to speak about single moms, and he reached out. I've had people reach out and say, what do y'all go through? How can, help me, because I've got to make this talk. And so that is a big outreach that we do through Entrusted Hope, is to equip and train church leadership on how to better minister to single moms.
I love that. Now, is it an online resource? How does it work as far as when you say we resource? What does that mean?
We will come to your church and train. We do have an online where we encourage single moms. We have it's a website, Strong and Courageous. You can go there through Entrusted Hope. But we offer mom tips. We offer, I share my testimony on there, and but really, I've had a lot of phone calls with churches. How do we get started? I mean, where do we start? And so we get to share, either through the phone calls or come in person and train.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. All right, and you mentioned seminary. You're a graduate of Southwestern Seminary.
I am. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And part of First Dallas for a while, and then now you're back in Alabama.
Well, I'm actually Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yes, I am living at Blue Mountain Christian University. I'm living on campus and doing some ministry there with, I'm a graduate from Blue Mountain. It's one of our, of course, Southern Baptist universities, but it's been a wonderful thing to get to live there, come back and minister to students.
Yeah, native of Alabama, Northwest Alabama.
I am, yes.
And then working a lot across the Southeast, really, now, aren't you?
Yes.
With your various training opportunities, but the conference is coming up as well.
Yes, and we're so excited. It's our first ever women's conference in Entrusted Hope Ministries, along with the Alabama Baptist, and the Baptist paper is sponsoring and partnering with us through this, and we have our very own Jennifer Rash that's going to be the Master of Ceremonies. I'm so excited.
That may tank your entire conference. I don't know.
We're excited to have you, and also Jill Freeze. She is the wife of the head football coach at Auburn, Hugh Freeze. She's going to be speaking on a topic, persevering during trials. I'm going to be speaking on the importance of living out your calling, and I'm so passionate for that. I think there are so many women, they go to church and they're faithful, but they don't pour in or allow God to use their gifts and their talents. And so many women will say to me, I don't know what God's will is for me. What is my calling? How do I understand that? So we're going to be talking about those things at the conference. And then the last session is, let me go. So the first session is living out your calling. And then Jill Freeze will be speaking on persevering during trials. You will be interviewing us, doing some Q&A during that time to get deeper into those topics. But during lunch, Jill Freeze is going to minister to coaches' wives, and so she's going to pour into them. Coaches' wives go through a lot of hardships too, like pastors' wives, and so she's going to encourage and have a time of Q&A there. And then the last session is Stay the Course. And I just think, Jennifer, today so many people are throwing in the towels. They're giving up. They are standing in front of that mirror. What am I going to do? And they've maybe not seen God work. He's always working, but through their own vision and of discouragement, they've not seen him maybe do some things they want him to do. And so they give up before they even give him a chance. You know, we've all been there. We've all been discouraged. And so it's really just a call for such a time as this, is we are called to, finish strong and go forward with Jesus. So we're going to be February the 28th at Colbert Heights Baptist Church in Tuscumbia, Alabama, March the 21st at First Baptist Scottsboro, and August the 8th, we're going to be in Dallas.
Okay,
so we're excited
fantastic.
at First Baptist Sunnyvale. So we're very excited about these upcoming women's conferences.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, interesting to see how that develops and where it goes from there.
Oh, yes.
You're listening to Dr. O'Shea Lowery, Executive Director of Entrusted Hope Ministries, a resource ministry for women and children, and just helping women live out their calling, figure out their calling, live out their calling, and resourcing churches to help minister to, reach, and especially focus on some single moms in their community and be able to help them. I'm Jennifer Rash with Tab Media Group. We produce the Alabama Baptist and the Baptist Paper, and now the new kids edition of the Baptist Paper. So we're excited to be connecting with Shay on what they do to help children as well. We hope that you'll check all of us out. tabmedia.group, thealabamabaptist.org, thebaptistpaper.org. Tell me what Entrusted Hope Ministries website is, Shay.
www.entrustedhopeministries.org.
All right, .org, entrustedhopeministries.org. So let's talk a little bit more about the church leadership, if they've been listening. And I hope you're listening, guys. Hang in there with us. But if you're listening and you're like, ooh, we're not doing a great job ministering to the single moms in our church and or in our community, what would be the first 2 or 3 steps you would give a church leadership right now to go? If they're interested, they're thinking about it, but they haven't really made that first step, where should they start?
Well, of course, they could call us and we could help them through that process. But if you're out there and you're thinking, okay, where can you start? I always say this: go to God first, because sometimes we try to build Rome in a day,
True.
and
We all
we
do
can't.
that.
I remember going to one of the pastors at First Dallas, and I wanted to do 5 things that year for single moms, and he said, "Let's start with 3." And, one of the things that I started was a Sunday school class for single moms.
No, it seems like so many great things start just in a simple Sunday school class.
Yes, and that was his heart. He loves, and I am too, big hero of Sunday school. And, some churches are getting away from that, but it's so important.
It's just so interesting, yeah.
He said, let's run some things through Sunday school first. And then what we started noticing is single moms were coming. They loved their own Sunday school class. They didn't really maybe want to come to this one. And then we had single moms that did want to come. So we wanted to reach other Sunday school classes. So eventually it evolved into a church-wide ministry.
Okay.
And so, but I would start, one of the things, start with a Bible study.
Okay.
We do provide not only training, but resources for women's ministry. And so we have the My Life as a Single Mom. And even we have more married women that are going through this than single moms. And so, and the publisher picked up on that before it was even released. He said, "Shay, this is not just for single moms." And so,
why do you think that is?
It really is just, it's principles that is offered is really for all women. But I share a lot of my journey as a single mom. Okay. So, but start with a Bible study. Start with a small group. I cannot say enough about discipleship. And one of the greatest things I love that God led me to write is Going Deeper, and is discipleship for older women pouring in to young women. Okay. Start a small group. One of the things, Jennifer, that I hear churches say all the time is, we don't have a lot of single moms, just 1 or 2. And I want to say, see the one, because if you reach that one lady, she can. Most of the calls I'm getting today are from single moms that have gone through it, and they're like, I want to help other single moms. Okay. So see that one. You don't have to have 10 single moms to start a class, but I would start with something like a Sunday school class or a Bible study. One of the things that we did that was very popular at First Dallas, and this is really an evangelistic tool that your church can do to reach in the community. So we just said reaching in the church, but is called the Equip series. And it equips single moms in the area of preparing for the workforce, teaching them. We would bring in HR people that were gifted in that area. They brought in resumes. The single moms did not want to leave after that class because they stayed over and asked so many questions. Really? We did Q&A of, okay, what time do you need to show up for an interview? How do you need to dress? And then even, talked about having great attitudes at the workplace, leaving on a great note. We just really went into a lot of different things that help prepare them biblically. And in my heart behind this was, there's a lot of things in the community that help you, but they're not helping you biblically. So those HR would come in and they would use scripture to back up what they were teaching them. And then we brought in people that helped them to manage money biblically, to teach them how to manage money, parenting tips. We even had a cooking class that someone taught us. So the Equip series you could offer on a Tuesday night, and you may have a single mom that's not in church but that hears, hey, I want to know how to build a resume, and she comes, and then you can share with her what you're offering there in your church. Right.
I love that. And one thing that I would make sure churches thought about would be childcare.
Yes.
Right? Do not have a single mom's ministry and not offer childcare.
I have that ask all the time. Shay, should we offer childcare? Yes, no question, with capital all white. Yes. I
have actually seen promotions of single mom type things and no childcare, and I'm thinking, how does that work?
Yes.
How does that work?
Yes, the fellowships that we had at First Dallas, like the Strong and Courageous Ministry, and listen, churches, you can bring in the Strong and Courageous Ministry. We can teach you how to build on that. But one of the things that we would do fellowships on the nights that they would have parents' night out, and so the child care would be offered there. So
you
but
can
start
work that out.
Start with small steps and let God build that.
Yeah, and what pops in my mind, because First Dallas has tons of resources, so that's probably smoother and easier to make it happen. And I'm thinking about some of the small churches that maybe we don't even have enough people to run the nursery on Sunday morning, much less on a Tuesday night or another time. But we have so many churches in our communities, and if several churches would go together and work on this as a team, as come together and make this a collective effort, a ministry, and not be possessive of who gets what person, and just say, hey, let's minister to, and maybe it rotates churches, or maybe it's in one church host always, and the others bring in the volunteers.
Absolutely, great
there
idea.
Could be a great way for community involvement, engagement, and then just ministering in so many levels, in so many ways. So I can just see how this could change the church's culture.
And that's a great idea. One of the things that we did that I wanted to see done before I left was free oil changes. I got this idea from First Baptist Houston, and there are a lot of churches doing this, but I'm trying to think of the company that reached out to First Dallas and said, hey, we want to offer free oil changes after I left. I was like, yes.
Fantastic.
And so one of the things your community could do and gather in different churches is offer free oil changes 3 or 4 times a year, and that is a great ministry to single moms. Another thing we did is Mother's Day, and I'm going to tell you a story that I left just about weeping, that we offered a Mother's Day luncheon free to the single moms, and they brought their children.
Yes.
And we got flowers and candies and just special things, and we would call the kids up there, and we would give the kids these gifts, and they went and gave them to their moms. And, the last one I attended, there were moms crying, people holding them. They were so touched that this was done for them. And then we did a backpack drive to help them for school. And so right before I left Dallas, my mother was sick, and I had to come back home. I wanted to help take care of her. But right before I left, and I had always wanted to do this, the church approved it, we were going to offer free haircuts for the moms' kids for back to school. So we added, this is why I say start small and you can add on. We started with just a backpack. And then now they're doing fill the backpacks, I think, bring some school supplies. And then we offered the free haircuts in the church burn. And so we lost the backpacks.
Oh, wait, what?
So First Dallas, you remember the church burned.
Yes,
and
all
so
of
we
your
lost.
Stuff was there?
Yes, the women would gather. Women's ministry brought the backpacks. People would bring them in and get ready for this back to school event that we had in August. And we would have breakfast and Sunday school for all single moms. We would bring in women that adopted them for a year to pray for their children while they were in school. It was a big event. They loved it. But then we got it approved to have haircuts at the church. And so right before that was to be, the church burned, and they were not. Well, but those are things you can do in your community.
And when you say the church burned, it was the chapel, right? The older
yes,
section.
But it affected other areas, the smoke.
Yeah, it wasn't the full campus.
That is correct.
But yes, we did report on that. I remember, and that was so tragic to see that happen. And all your stuff was in there.
Yes,
oh my goodness.
but to go back to what you said, the community could get together and offer free haircuts for single moms' kids, or backpack drives, or.
See, I love that. I just think there's so many levels, because even if someone in the church is maybe at a point where their health doesn't let them do much, they can pray, right? They can say, I will adopt that single mom and her kids, as far as I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to pray every day.
And that meant more to single moms. They came to me more probably than the breakfast, the backpacks, was that somebody is praying for my kids and for me. Yeah. And so,
And just to maybe even to send them a message or a note or a card, or remind them that they are made in God's image. They are valuable.
Yes.
They can figure this out. They can find their way through. They do have a community. Yes. They don't have to give up.
And I think, single moms are looking more for community than, this big strategic plan of let's do this, that. They just need somebody that will put a hand on their shoulder and say, honey, it's going to be okay.
You're going to make it.
You're going to make it, and I'm going to pray for you. Yeah. Let's go have lunch.
Yeah. How do you break through the barriers, though, when sometimes the single moms maybe are in a situation where they're struggling with other things. So there might be finances, or there may be even some they can't get a job, or there's just a struggle in life. Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's something else. They're not obviously not always the case, but what if that is the case? How do you help the church family still love that family and help them? Do you need to bring in extra resources to deal with the if there's a situation where it's not just, quote, single mom and kids and they're doing their thing, but there's another element, there's another obstacle. Do you need to bring in other resources to assist, or how do you work through those?
I think one of the things I would say, first of all, is an element to remember, or a truth to remember, is when we minister, we're never going to minister to someone who has it all together,
that's so good.
Because
that's
we
so
don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've seen that. I've seen, well, they've got a lot of baggage. Well, who doesn't?
Right.
And I'm not talking about single moms. I'm talking about they could be a man, a woman. I've just heard that throughout the years. Well, that person, they're bringing a lot. Well, Jesus said, I came to heal the sick, not the ones who are well. Right. And so first and foremost, we need to remember that, we are called to minister and love, period. And outside that period of all the things going on, that's God's going to take care of that, but he's going to use us to, help minister. But yes, connect them through the local church with, usually the local church will have resources for food banks, or they may have resources that we can help pay a power bill. Or your community may have resources. I tell churches, know your resources in your community. Have a list. We did that at First Dallas. Is to have a list of where we can send them if it's a shelter needed, if it is I don't have a home. I had a single mom one day I called, she's living in a car. And so we got on the phone, we were trying to find places. So know your resources in your community. If your community doesn't have this, it may be that God is tugging your heart or your church's heart to offer this, maybe to help single moms. But yeah, never go to someone when you're ministering. You're not going to minister to perfection. We all need Jesus. As my daughter said one time, she told me about someone who's going through something. I said, bless her heart, she needs Jesus. And Mandy said, we all need Jesus. And that's true.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's so good. So yes, be observant, know our resources, be able to walk through and walk with and guide and help all of those that we're ministering to, even ourselves, and how we get there. So, Shay, thank you so much. EntrustedHopeMinistries.org. We've talked a lot about the single mom ministry. I love that, the Strong and Courageous, but she does have lots of other resources available, equipping your church to help equip the women in the church as well as children, and just to reach the community. So check it out, EntrustedHopeMinistries.org. I'm excited to get to partner with what you're doing, and we'll see what happens in 2026 with these new conferences. And we'll see you next week. Check us out at tabmedia.group.